Hello friends, today's topic is expenditure on scientific research as per section 35. In this topic, we will be studying what is the amount of deduction available where an expenditure is incurred by the SSC on the scientific research. It could be that an in-house research is conducted wherein an in-house expenditure is made, or even an payment made to an outsider, an approved research association or other institution, then an amount is available as deduction to the SSC under section 35. So friends, the next topic is expenditure on scientific research, wherein any expenditure incurred by the SSC on the scientific research is eligible for a deduction under section 35. Expenditure could be revenue expenditure or capital expenditure. Where there is an in-house research, the same will be eligible where certain conditions are satisfied, and even a payment made to an outsider entity which is approved through a scheme approved by the central government, and it could be a research association, it could be university or other institution, wherein if payment is made to such outsiders and they are into statistical research, social science, or scientific research, meaning in an approved scheme, they are providing activities, they are conducting in-house research into scientific research, and the payment to such entity will eligible for a deduction under section 35. Deduction under section 35, if claimed, then obviously no deduction is allowed under other section of the act, just to avoid double taxation, double deduction. For example, if you are claiming a deduction for a particular asset, for a capital asset, deduction under section 35, then for that same asset you cannot again claim depreciation under section 32. Just an example. So on your screen you can see there is a definition of scientific research as per section 43.4.1, wherein the definition of scientific research is activities for the extension of knowledge in the fields of natural or applied science, including agriculture, animal husbandry, or fisheries. So, extension of knowledge in the field of natural or applied science. This is what the definition has been specified under section 43.4.1. So, any scientific research undertaken by the company in-house which is adding value to the business, the research, it could be scientific or it could be industrial. Such research is helping the SSC in the business. For example, you can say a company is into making new machinery for the purpose of coffee. So coffee vending machines are prepared by the SSC. In this regard, what SSC has done is they wanted to conduct research on a new machinery which has come up or which has been invented outside India. This company has to in-house build that machinery by conducting research on the machinery which has already been made outside India. They want to build that machinery in India in-house and sell that machinery from India to outside India. I mean, they want to export the machinery by manufacturing the machinery in India. So before that, they want to conduct a research that how this machinery has been built. So they will have to import that machinery, dismantle that machinery, and dismantle in order to understand how the machinery works, how the individual parts have been prepared, and accordingly the same can be prepared in India. So in this example, friends, you can understand that for the purpose of the business, there is at times necessary that a research should be conducted which will help in furtherance of the existing business. So 4341 is nothing but extension of knowledge in the fields of natural or applied science, including agriculture, animal husbandry or fisheries, which will only help the existing business of the SSC, or even a payment can be made to an outsider whose business is into natural or applied science. 4342 Scientific research expenditure. Expenditure incurred on scientific research would include all expenditure incurred for the prosecution or the provision of facilities for the prosecution of scientific research, but does not include any expenditure incurred in the acquisition of rights in or arising out of scientific research. So definition of scientific research expenditure: it will include all expenditure incurred for the provision of scientific research apart from an exclusion wherein expenditure incurred in the acquisition of rights will not be part of scientific research expenditure. 4343 Scientific research related to a business or a class of business. Scientific research related to business or class of business would include a scientific research which may lead to or facilitate an expansion of that business or all the class of business, as the case may be. Any scientific research of a medical nature which has a special relation to the welfare of the workers employed in that business or all the business of that class, as the case may be. So two types of expenditure related to the business are covered over here. First, which is facilitating extension of the business. Second, research of medical nature for the welfare of the workers of the company. So this was section 44, wherein definition of scientific research expenditure and definition of scientific research related to business or class of business has been specified. Now before we move on to the specific sections of the provisions of section 35, before that let's have a summary of expenditure incurred on scientific research, or a bird's eye view, wherein what will be covered under section 35 on your screen. First is an expenditure is incurred by an SSC on scientific research related to the business. So this expenditure is related to business. It could be revenue expenditure or capital expenditure. 100% deduction is allowed except for expenditure on land, or apart from in-house there could be payment to outsider. Outsider should be an approved Indian company for scientific research. It could be notified approved research association or other institution for social science and statistical research, or it could be notified approved research association or other institution for scientific research. or approved national laboratory or a specified person for scientific research. So if this is the case, then for third and fourth, that is an Indian company and research association or other institution for social science or statistical research, in those cases 100% deduction is allowed. And for fifth and sixth, which are into scientific research or national laboratory or other specified person, 150 deduction is allowed up to financial year 18-19, that is assessment year 19-20. Up to 19-20 the deduction is 150%. After that, from assessment year 2021, you can say the same is applicable from financial year April 2021. So assessment year will be 21-22. The deduction from that financial year from this previous year is 100%. It has been reduced to 100%, but for our syllabus purpose, it will continue to be 150% for the previous year 19-20. And expenditure incurred by biotechnology business or specified manufacturing entity. If yes, then 150% reduction allowed, and the expenditure should not be related to land and building. So let's quickly go to subsection 1 of 35. In respect of expenditure on scientific research, the following deduction shall be allowed. First is revenue expenditure, and this is in-house expenditure by the SSC for the purpose of the business. Any expenditure not being in the nature of capital expenditure laid out or expended on scientific research related to the business. So the expenditure should be revenue as per subsection 1, and it should be on scientific research and related to the business of the SSC. Pre-commencement expenditure, pre-commencement revenue expenditure. Pre-commencement revenue expenditure will be allowed to the SSC in the financial year, in the current financial year, and the expenditure period is preceding 3 previous years. The expenditure shall be allowed to the SSC, and only selective revenue expenditure are allowed, which is salary expenditure of the employee who are working in the research company or in the company where scientific research is undertaken, unit where scientific research is undertaken, the salaries of such employees. Secondly, the cost on purchase of materials, purchase of input materials which are required for scientific research also gets covered as revenue expenditure, and it will be allowed as a pre-commencement revenue expenditure incurred in immediately 3 previous years. The same will be allowed as deduction to the SSC. On your screen, so explanation to clause 1 of subsection 1 to 35 is related to pre-commencement of revenue expenditure. Explanation where any such expenditure has been laid out or expended before the commencement of business. Before the commencement of the business, not being expenditure laid out or expended before 1973 on payment of salary. First is on payment of salary as defined in explanation 2 below subsection 5 of section 40A to an employee engaged in such scientific research or on the purchase of materials used in such scientific research. The aggregate of the expenditure, the aggregate of the expenditure so laid out or expended within the 3 immediately preceding the commencement of the business within the 3 years immediately preceding the commencement of business shall, to the extent it is certified by the prescribed authority, the same expenditure will be allowed as deduction to the SSC. So, the expenditure should be a revenue expenditure. It has been incurred before the commencement of business of the SSC, and selective revenue expenditure will be allowed. It is salary of the employee who is working in the unit of scientific research, and expenditure has been incurred for the purpose of purchase of materials, purchase of inputs required for scientific research. For this true expenditure, any expenses incurred in the immediately preceding 3 years, the same will be allowed as revenue expenditure in the year in which the commencement of business, the business is commenced. In that previous year, the expenditure, the revenue expenditure of immediately 3 years, preceding 3 years will be allowed. And the important thing over here is such amount should be certified by the prescribed authority. Such amount should be certified by the prescribed authority which is related to such scientific research, and if the certification is received, then such expenditure will be deemed to have been laid out or expended in the previous year in which the business is commenced. So, as per explanation to clause 1 of subsection 1 of section 35 is related to pre-commencement of revenue expenditure. This was the explanation. So now the payment to research association. This is clause 2. Payment to research association or other institution for scientific research. In this case, any payment to a research association, here you can see in the tabular form that we had discussed earlier, you can make a payment to a scientific research association or university or education university or any other similar institution who's into scientific research. Payment made to such association, to such institution, will qualify for deduction under section 35. The purpose of the association could be for revenue expenditure as well as capital expenditure, it doesn't matter. If you have made payment to such association, then it will qualify for the purpose of deduction under clause 2 of subsection 1 of section 35. On your screen, an amount equal to 1 and 1/2 times of any sum paid to a research association which has its object the undertaking of scientific research, or to a university, college or other institution to be used for scientific research. So the payment is to a research association. First of all, the deduction is 150%. Payment is to research association which has its object as undertaking of scientific research, or the payment is to a university, college or other institution which is used for scientific research, provided such association, university, college or other institution for the purpose of this clause, such university, such institution should be approved, and also it should comply with the conditions specified by the government. Is for the time being approved in accordance with the guidelines in the manner and subject to conditions as may be prescribed, and such association, university, college or other institution is specified as such by notification in the official gazette by the central government. So such association, such institution should be approved. It should satisfy specified conditions, and once approved, once conditions are specified, once conditions, guidelines are satisfied, then the same will be notified by the central government. The name of the research association, the name of the educational institution will be specified by the central government in the notification by way of notification in the official gazette. Provided further that where the sum is paid to such association, university, college, or other institution in the previous year relevant to the assessment year beginning on or after April 2021. So from assessment year 2021, from assessment year 21-22, the deduction under this clause shall be equal to the amount so paid. So the point that we were discussing in the table of summary, that the 150 deduction which was allowed previously from assessment year 21-22, from assessment year 21-22, that is the previous year starting from April 20 to March 21, the deduction is limited to 100% and not 150%. This is what is coming from the second proviso mentioned over here. So the deduction under this clause will be equal to the sum so paid, meaning the amount which has been paid will be 100% allowed as deduction in the hands of the SSC. Now friends, the next expenditure, which is clause 2a, payment to a company for scientific research. In this case, where a payment is made to a company which is registered in India, which is approved by prescribed authority, and conditions specified are also satisfied by such an Indian company, and the purpose of the company is scientific research development. If these conditions are satisfied, then payment to such a company for scientific research will be eligible for deduction under section 35 subsection 1 clause 2a. Also, if a deduction under section 35(2)(a), 35(1)(2)(a) is claimed, then a weighted deduction for section 35(2)(ab) will not be allowed. So both are mutually exclusive. If deduction is claimed under 35(1)(2)(a), then a similar deduction cannot be claimed under section 35(2)(ab). On your screen, payment to a company for scientific research, clause 2a, any sum paid to a company to be used by it for scientific research, provided that such company is registered in India, has as its main object the scientific research and development. So first, registered object is scientific research and development. Next is such company for the purpose of this clause is for the time being approved by the prescribed authority in the prescribed manner and fulfills such other conditions as may be prescribed. So, registered in India, object is scientific research approved by prescribed authority and specified conditions are satisfied. If yes, then deduction to such a company will be eligible under section 35. And the note that we were just discussing, a company approved under this section will not be entitled to claim weighted deduction of 150% under section 35(2)(ab), which we will be discussing. Section 35(2)(ab) we will be discussing in the succeeding slides. However, it can continue to claim deduction under section 35(1)(1), that is for revenue expenditure, in respect of the revenue expenditure incurred on the scientific research. Meaning, here the company is receiving payment from an outsider. So, from the perspective of an outsider, let's say A is paying to XYZ Limited, which is an Indian registered entity, and the conditions specified under clause 2A are satisfied by XYZ Limited. So any payment by Mr. A to XYZ Limited will qualify as deduction, will be eligible for deduction for the investor, for the contributor under 35(1)(2)(a), and for the company who is receiving the XYZ Limited, for them they will have to, if any revenue expenditure is incurred by such company, then it is eligible under section 35(1)(1) as mentioned in this note, and deduction under section 35(2)(ab) cannot be claimed by such company. So for XYZ Limited, it is a sort of in-house research. So we will step in the shoes of a company which is conducting in-house research. They have received funds from outside, from an outsider. So from an outsider perspective, which is Mr. A in our example, for Mr. A, any contribution to such a company, he is eligible for deduction under 35(1)(2)(a), and for the in-house company, any revenue expenditure will be eligible under section 35(1)(1). Now clause 3. Payment to research association or other institutions, university, education or similar institutions for research on social science and statistical research. Any association, it should be approved by the prescribed authority. The conditions specified are also satisfied by research association or other institutions, and they are into the research of social science or statistical research. If yes, then deduction under section 35 is available. Friends, on your screen, clause 3, any sum paid to a research association which has its object the undertaking of research in social science or statistical research, or to a university, college or other institution to be used for research in social science or statistical research, then a deduction under clause 3 subsection 1 of section 35 is available, provided such association, university, college or other institution for the purpose of this clause for the time being is approved in accordance with the guidelines and in the manner and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed. So the association or the institution should be approved. Such association, university or college is specified as such by notification in the official gazette by the central government, and it should be notified by the central government. Next point, there is an explanation to clause 3 wherein approval granted earlier is withdrawn subsequently. So where the association or other institution are approved and subsequently the approval is withdrawn, if certain conditions are not satisfied, then the approval is withdrawn. In such a scenario where the payment is made by the SSA to such research association, can the deduction be disallowed in the hands of the SSC? Where the research association is, the approval granted to such association is withdrawn, then can it be said that deduction under section 35 to the SSC will also be disallowed? The answer is no. the deduction will continue to stand in spite of the approval being subsequently withdrawn to the association. On your screen, explanation: the deduction to which the assessee is entitled in respect of any sum paid to research association or any other institution to which clause 2 or clause 3 applies, which we have just discussed. So for the purpose of clause 2 and clause 3, wherever the research association or institution has been specified, shall not be denied merely on the ground, the deduction shall not be denied merely on the ground that subsequent to the payment of such sum by the assessee, the approval granted to the association, university or institution referred to in clause 2 and 3 has been withdrawn. So as per this explanation, where subsequently the approval is withdrawn, the deduction will continue to stand. The assessee will not be denied the deduction which has already been claimed. Now moving on to the next part, which is the capital expenditure on scientific research. So in the summary table that we had discussed, first, so in-house research conducted by the company, revenue expenditure is allowed under 35(1)(1), and a capital expenditure gets covered in in-house research under 35(1)(4), wherein any capital expenditure incurred by the assessee will be allowed subject to certain conditions. So subject to certain conditions, the capital expenditure on scientific research will be allowed, and from assessment year, I mean in the assessment year, in the current assessment year, the deduction will be allowed as 100% where the capital expenditure is incurred. Capital expenditure on land is not allowed, and even the pre-commencement capital expenditure in the preceding 3 previous year is allowed to the assessee. These all provisions are covered under subsection 2. For clause 4, the only part is that a reference to subsection 2 has been given under clause 4 of subsection 1, and the provisions related to capital expenditure incurred in-house are given in subsection 2. So on your screen, clause 4, in respect of any expenditure of a capital nature on scientific research related to the business. So the expenditure on scientific research and related to the business carried on by the assessee, such deduction as may be admissible under the provisions of subsection 2. So here the reference to subsection 2 has been provided by clause 4. The relevant provisions of quantum of deduction, the conditions of deduction are covered under subsection 2. We will continue with the proviso provisions which has been mentioned over here. Application to CG on grant of approval. Application to CG for grant of approval. So the approval which is provided to research association or university or other institution for clause 2 and clause 3, for such grant of approval an application is supposed to be made to CG. On your screen, provided that the research association or other institution referred to in clause 2 and 3 shall make an application in the prescribed form and manner to the central government for the purpose of grant of approval or continuance thereof under clause 2 and 3. So for the purpose of approval, an application is supposed to be made to the central government. Power of CG to call for information documents. Once an application is made for approval, the central government has a power to call for further information documents. On your screen, provided further that the central government may, before granting approval, call for such documents including audited accounts or information from the research association or other institution as it thinks necessary in order to satisfy itself about the genuineness of the activities of the research association, university, college or other institution, So in order to satisfy itself about the genuineness of the activities, the documents may be asked by the central government, and that government may also make such enquiries as it deem necessary for the purpose of granting approval on an application received from research association or other institutions. Validity of notification issued. So under clause 2 and clause 3 we have studied that an approved research association will be effective only when the same is notified by the central government in the official gazette. So validity of such notification is mentioned in this proviso, wherein any notification issued by the central government before the date of Taxation Amendment Bill of 2006 receives the assent of President shall at any one time have effect for such assessment year or years not exceeding 3 assessment years. So validity is 3 assessment years, including an assessment year or years commencing before the date on which such notification is issued, as may be specified in the notification. So validity over here has been specified as 3 assessment years, and period for accepting rejecting the application by the central government has been mentioned in this proviso, provided also that where an application under the first proviso is made on or after the date of Amendment Bill 2006 receives the assent of President, every notification shall be issued or an order rejecting the application shall be passed within the period of 12 months from the end of month in which such application was received by the central government. So as per this proviso, once an application is received, it should be approved or rejected within a period of 12 months by the central government. Now the quantum of deduction in the case of capital expenditure is mentioned under subsection 2, and where expenditure is incurred after 1967, then the whole of the capital expenditure will be allowed in the relevant previous year itself. 1967, the expenditure was allowed in installments, 1/5 in a given previous year, meaning 20% was allowed for in a period of 5 years before 1967, and after 1967 the deduction is 100% in the relevant previous year itself. And as we have discussed earlier, that deduction on land, any expenditure on acquisition of land is not allowed as capital expenditure, and pre-commencement capital expenditure will be allowed to the SSC incurred in the immediately 3 previous year. On your screen, the quantum of deduction in the case of scientific research business. So it is a in-house research expenditure incurred by the SSC for the purpose of business in the nature of scientific research business for the purpose of clause 4 of subsection 1. So clause 4 of subsection 1 has mention of subsection 2. Clause 1. In a case where such capital expenditure is incurred before 1967, 1/5 of the capital expenditure incurred in any previous year shall be deducted for that previous year, and the balance of the expenditure shall be deducted in equal installments for each of the immediately succeeding previous years. So before 1967, the expenditure is allowed is 1/5 of the capital expenditure starting from the year in which the capital expenditure is incurred, and it will be continuously allowed for succeeding 4 previous years. And in case of after March 1967, where capital expenditure is incurred, the whole of such capital expenditure incurred in any previous year shall be deducted for that previous year. So the whole of the expenditure will be allowed post March 1967 as per clause 1A of subsection 2 of section 35. Again, a no deduction allowed on land, provided that no deduction shall be admissible under this clause in respect of expenditure incurred on the acquisition of any land. Expenditure incurred on acquisition of any land, whether the land is acquired as such or as part of any property after 1984. So any land acquired after 1984, which could be wholly or even partly, then no deduction is allowed as per proviso to subsection 2. Pre-commencement capital expenditure, it is covered in explanation 1, where any capital expenditure has been incurred before the commencement of business. The aggregate of the expenditure so incurred within the 3 years immediately preceding the commencement of business, shall be deemed to have been incurred in the previous year in which the business is commenced. So even the pre-commencement capital expenditure, similar to the provision in revenue expenditure, there is a provision in capital expenditure as well, wherein expenditure incurred in immediately 3 preceding previous years will be allowed to the SSC. Now friends, moving on to the next part, which is explanation 2. Explanation 2 is related to the cost of land, what is to be included as part of cost of land, and accordingly it won't be allowed as capital expenditure to the SSC as per subsection 2. So explanation 2, for the purpose of this clause, land includes any interest in land, and the acquisition of any land shall be deemed to have been made by the SSC on the date on which the instrument of transfer of such land to him has been registered. So once the property is registered in the name of the SSC, it will be his property, or where he has taken or retained the possession of such land or any part thereof in part performance of a contract, which is Transfer of Property Act, then also it will be treated his land, and accordingly any capital expenditure on the same won't be allowed as deduction to the SSC on which he has so taken or retained possession of such land or part, which is in continuation of point of Transfer of Property Act. So explanation 2 is related to the cost of the land, or the meaning of the land is further clarified as per explanation 2 to subsection 2. Now, cessation of use of asset purchased before 1967. So over here, just to give you background, where you have purchased an asset for the purpose of scientific research. Now, after conducting your research, the asset is no more required, meaning the asset has been used for the purpose for which it was purchased. For scientific research purpose, the asset was purchased, and now there is no further purpose for it. So there is cessation of the use of the asset. The asset is no more required. It has served its purpose. So in those cases, what should be the treatment regarding the capital expenditure has been stated under clause 2, wherein for example 100 is the capital expenditure which has been incurred, and as we have discussed earlier that any expenditure incurred before 1967 will be allowed, installments will be allowed as deduction to the SSC in 1/5 of the installment. So now in the third year, there is cessation of use of asset. So after 3 years there is cessation of use of asset, and SSC has claimed deduction only for 3 years, that is up to 60%. 1/5, which is 20%. For 3 years it will be 60%, and the remaining 40% is yet to be claimed as capital expenditure. So in such a scenario, what should be the deduction amount available? I mean, whether the balance amount will be available to the SSC or not. So 100 rupees was the total capital expenditure incurred by the SSC, and out of this only till date for 3 years 60 rupees is allowed as capital expenditure deduction to the SSC. Then whether remaining 40% will be allowed or not has been discussed under clause 2 on your screen. Notwithstanding anything containing clause 1, which is related to capital expenditure, which is discussed over here, which was before 1967. And do not think that this is before 1967. Theoretically, it is important to know what were the provisions, and also there might be cases where you have claimed weighted deduction, which is 150% of the deduction. So in such a scenario, what could be tax implications when there is cessation of use of asset, or even after cessation of use of asset the asset is sold, then what are the implications we will be discussing. So clause 2, notwithstanding anything containing clause 1, it speaks on expenditure, capital expenditure deduction, where an asset representing expenditure of capital nature incurred before 1967 ceases to be used in the previous year for scientific research related to business, and the value of the asset at the time of cessation, together with the aggregate of deductions already allowed in our example 60 under clause 1, falls short of the said expenditure. So falls short of 100 in our example, then in such cases there shall be allowed a deduction for that previous year of an amount equal to such deficiency. So 40 rupees will be allowed, and no deduction shall be allowed under that clause for that previous year or any subsequent previous year, meaning double taxation won't be allowed, where rupees 40 is allowed under section 35 subsection 2 clause 2. So meaning the deficiency of 40 rupees in an example will be allowed to the SSC as per clause 2, and this is expenditure before 1967. And expenditure after 1967, as we have discussed, that 100% capital expenditure deduction will be allowed where expenditure is incurred post March 1967. Accordingly, there will be scenario that such deficiency won't be coming, the deficiency of 40 rupees won't be coming subsequently post 1967, because 100% deduction is allowed in the relevant previous year itself. Cessation of use of asset, where it is sold without having been used for other purposes. So here there is cessation of asset and subsequently it is sold by the SSC. So there will be two scenarios in this case, wherein there is cessation of the use of the asset and the asset is sold without using for the business of the SSC. Business meaning apart from scientific research, the other business of the SSC. Whether such asset is used for such business or not will be the question. So cessation of use of asset and the asset is sold without using for other business purpose of SSC. And second scenario, cessation of asset, and after cessation the asset is used for the purpose of business or profession, other business or profession of the SSC. So this scenario covers asset is sold without using for other business purposes of SSC. In those cases, what will be the scenario? What will be the provisions? What are the provisions has been explained over here. So just to give you background, anything which is sold and there is certain benefit which is, where the SSC is deriving will be taxable under section 41 of the Income Tax Act. So for example, the capital expenditure incurred was 100, the deduction allowed is 100, or it could be that even a weighted deduction is allowed. For the timing, let's keep it simple. The capital expenditure is 100. Now the asset is sold. There is cessation of the asset. Asset is no more required for the purpose of scientific research business, and the asset is sold. And the asset is sold by the SSC. If the asset is sold for 130, then the sale price of the asset or the amount of deduction claim. I will repeat it again. The sale price, which in our example is 130, and the amount of deduction claimed under section 35, which is 100, whichever is less, will be taxable as business profits under section 41. So in our example, 130 or 100, whichever is less, will be taxable in the hands of the SSC as business profits under section 41, and the surplus amount, that is sale price minus the cost price of the asset, 30 rupees, will be taxable as capital gains. It will tend to amount to transfer of a capital asset, and accordingly the differential amount, accordingly the capital gains amount will be taxable under section 45. So 130 rupees the sale price received, there will be two bifurcation, 100 rupees to the extent of deduction taken under section 35, since it was a deduction against the business profits, accordingly reversal of such benefit on account of selling that part of the asset. So the 100 rupees, the reversal of the benefit of deduction will be taxable as business profit only under section 41, and the second portion of the sale price, 30 rupees, will be taxable as capital gains in the hands of the SSC. Clause 3. If the asset mentioned in clause 2 is sold without having been used for other purposes. So here there is a reference for clause 2, which is an asset purchased before 1967. There may be a scenario as well where an asset is purchased after 1967, it is cessation of use of the asset, and subsequently it is sold. So both of these scenarios can be applied. Clause 3 can be applied for both of these scenarios. So without having been used for other purposes, meaning without having been used for other business purposes of the SSC in the year of cessation, the sale price shall be taken to be the value of the asset at the time of cessation, and if the asset is sold without having been used for other business purposes of the SSC in a previous year subsequent to the year of cessation, the asset is sold in the subsequent year and the sale price falls short of the value of the asset taken into account, and the sale price falls short of the value of the asset taken into account at the time of cessation, an amount equal to deficiency shall be allowed as deduction for the previous year in which the sale took place. Meaning, the example that we took previously, where the sale price was exceeding the cost price, here as per clause 3 it has been mentioned that what if there is a deficiency in the sale price. So Let's clarify it further through a note. Cost price is 100. Deduction allowed till date, since the asset is purchased before 1967, deduction allowed is 60. So previously we discussed that the deficiency of 40%, which is 100 minus 60, it will be allowed as deduction in the year of cessation of use. Fine. So this was discussed earlier. Now what if such asset is sold? Sale price is, there is a deficiency in sale price which is less than the cost price. Suppose sale price is 90. So there will be a deficiency of only cost price minus sale price. So here, so the deficiency is reduced to 10, which is nothing but cost price minus 90. In such a scenario, the same will be allowed, the deficiency will be allowed as reduction in the year in which the asset is sold, in the year of sale. This is what is mentioned over here. And the sale price falls short of the value of the asset taken into account at the time of cessation. An amount equal to the deficiency shall be allowed as deduction for the previous year in which the sale took place. So this is an example where before 1967 the asset is purchased, and what if there is an asset which is purchased after 1967? In such a case, there will be no deficiency as such. However, where asset is sold by the SSC and it is more than the cost price and the deduction which has been claimed under section 35, in such a scenario the profits will be taxable as business profits under section 41, and amount exceeding the cost price of the asset, that is sale price minus cost price, will be taxable as capital gains. So the sale price will be bifurcated between business profit and capital gains. Business profit will be taxable under section 41 and capital gains will be taxable under section 45. Now clause 4. No depreciation will be allowed in cases where a deduction is already claimed as capital expenditure under subsection 2. If depreciation is allowed, then that will tantamount to double deduction. And also, if the asset, after cessation of use of the asset, it is brought for other business purpose, it is started, the SSC started using the asset for other business purpose of the SSC, then depreciation in that case will be allowed to the SSC from the year in which the SSC has started using the asset for other business purposes. Clause 4 and 5. Where a deduction is allowed for any previous year under this section in respect of expenditure represented wholly or partly by an asset, no deduction shall be allowed under clause 2 of subsection 1 of section 32 for the same or any other previous year in respect of that asset, just to avoid double deduction. Depreciation is allowed from the date when used for other business purposes. Clause 5. Where the asset mentioned in clause 2 is used in the business after it ceases to be used for scientific research related to that business, depreciation shall be admissible under clause 2 of subsection 1 of section 32. So from the year of using the asset for other business purposes, deduction of depreciation will be allowed to the SSC under section 32. Moving on to the next part, which is additional notes. So section 35 we have already discussed, subsection 1 and section 2, subsection 1 and subsection 2. Now the additional notes therein. So friends, the additional notes is related to the asset which has been sold after cessation of the use of the asset in the two scenarios, whether it has been used for other business purpose or whether it has not been used for other business purposes and it has been sold. On your screen, section 41 seeks to tax the profits arising on the sale of an asset representing expenditure on a capital nature on scientific research. So where an asset on which capital expenditure on scientific research has been claimed, when such asset is sold, any profit thereon, any business profit thereon is taxable under section 41. Such an asset might be sold, discarded, demolished, or destroyed either after having been used for the purpose of business, on the cessation of its use for the purpose of scientific research related to the business, or without having been used for other business purposes. The two scenarios has been mentioned over here. In either case, in either of the cases, tax liability will arise in the hands of the SSC since the asset has been sold. First is whether asset is sold, etc., after having been used for the purpose of business. In such a case, the actual cost of the concerned asset under section 43(1), which is related to actual cost, read with explanation 1. So the actual cost in such a scenario as per explanation 1 to subsection 1 of section 43, the actual cost would be nil. The actual cost will be nil and no depreciation will be allowed by virtue of section 35(2)(4). So on such asset, the actual cost will be nil. The asset is used for other business purposes and thereafter it has been sold by the SSC. In such a case, the actual cost will be nil and depreciation won't be allowed to the SSC. On sale of such asset, the monies payable is taxable under section 41(1), the provisions of which are wide enough to cover such situations and to bring to tax the amount of deductions allowed in previous years. An example will clarify things over here. Sale price being 120, cost price is 100, which is the deduction amount. After 1967, it is the deduction amount. So cost price is 100, deduction under section 35, subsection 2, capital expenditure is also 100. In such a case, sale price or the amount of deduction, whichever is less, will be considered as taxable profit under section 41. So 120 or 100, whichever is less in our example, will be taxable under section 41. So taxable under section 41 1 is 100 and remaining 20 rupees, balance rupees 20, which is cost price, sale price minus cost price, is taxable as capital gains under section 45. This is one limb of the explanation. What if now the sale price is 100 or the sale price is less than 100? Then what will be the scenario? Let's say sale price is 80. So it is less than the deduction which has been claimed. However, in the past you have claimed 100 rupees as deduction under section 35(2), and out of that you are deriving a benefit of 80 rupees. Again, you are deriving a benefit of 80 rupees through selling that particular asset. So you will have to reverse, you will have to offer to tax that 80 rupees under section 41. So sale price or deduction under subsection 2 of section 35 is 100. Whichever is less is the amount which is taxable as taxable profits under section 41. So here it will be 80 and nothing will be taxable as capital gains. I hope you understood. So just to clarify things, we have taken this note. Now, whether asset is sold without having been used for other purposes, this case would come under section 41(3), and if the proceeds of sale together with the total amount of deduction made under section 35 exceed the capital expenditure, the sale price with deduction exceeds the amount of capital expenditure, the excess or the amount of deduction so made, whichever is less, the excess or the amount of deduction so made whichever is less will be charged to tax as income of the business of the SSC in the previous year in which the sale is taking place. Similar to our example. And the next point is carry forward of deficiency. Any unabsorbed capital expenditure, any unabsorbed expenditure on scientific research is eligible for carry forward for infinite number of years. Similar to unabsorbed depreciation, the carry forward of deficiency in the expenditure incurred on scientific research will be allowed to be carried forward instead of in the succeeding previous year. Capital expenditure incurred on scientific research which cannot be absorbed by the business profits of the relevant previous year can be carried forward to the immediately succeeding previous year, and there is no time bar on the period of carry forward. Moving on to the next provisions, which is sum paid to national laboratory, etc. as per 2AA, section 35 2AA. So as per the summary that we had discussed earlier at the start of the provisions of section 35, there was this clause of 2AA wherein amount paid by the SSC to an approved national laboratory and other specified person, where a payment is made by an SSC to an approved national laboratory, then a deduction will be allowed to the SSC to the extent of 150% till previous year 1920, and from the previous year 2021, from April 20 to March 21, and henceforth the deduction will be reduced from 150 to 100, and the sum should be paid to national laboratory or other specified person for the purpose of scientific research. The laboratory should be approved by prescribed authority, and the deduction, as you have stated earlier, that the deduction will be reduced to 100% from previous year 2021, and before previous year 2021 the deduction is 150% on your screen. Whether SSC pays any sum to National Laboratory or an university or an Indian Institute of Technology IIT or a specified person with a specific duration, that the said sum shall be used for scientific research undertaken. So this are the person to whom payment can be made. It shall be used for scientific research undertaken under a program approved in this behalf by the prescribed authority. Then there shall be allowed a deduction of sum equal to 1 and 1/2 times the sum so paid, meaning 150%, and no deduction in respect of such sum shall be allowed under any other provisions of the Act, meaning no double deduction is allowed, provided the prescribed authority shall, before granting approval, the national laboratory, the university, the IIT, or the specified person are supposed to take approval from the prescribed authority. So in this regard, provided that the prescribed authority shall, before granting approval, satisfy itself about the feasibility of carrying out the scientific research and shall submit its report to Chief Commissioner or Principal Director General or Director General in such form as may be prescribed. So not only the prescribed authority has to satisfy itself of the feasibility, but it is required to submit a report to its senior, which is Principal CC, Chief Commissioner or Principal DG or Director General in the prescribed form. Provided further that any sum is paid to such institutions in a previous year relevant to the assessment year beginning or after first day of April 2021, that is beginning from the assessment year 21-22, the deduction under this subsection shall be equal to the sum so paid. The deduction will be to the extent of 100%. Deduction is allowed even if approval is withdrawn subsequently. Similar provision that we have discussed earlier, that subsequent withdrawal of the approval to the specified institutions will not be implied that deduction under section 35(2)AA is not applicable to the SSC. I will quickly read the explanation 1. The deduction to which the SSC is entitled in respect of any sum paid to national laboratory, university, IIT or specified person for the approval program referred to in this subsection shall not be denied merely on the ground that subsequent to the payment of such sum, the approval granted to laboratory or specified person has been withdrawn, or the program undertaken by the national laboratory, university, IIT or specified person has been withdrawn. So either the approval has been withdrawn or the program undertaken has been withdrawn. It won't matter for the purpose of deduction. Now explanations related to the definition of the terms that has been used. National laboratory means a scientific laboratory functioning at the national level under the aegis of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, the Indian Council of Medical Research, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Defense Research and Development Organization, Department of Electronics, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Atomic Energy, and which is approved as a national laboratory by the prescribed authority in such manner as may be prescribed. So the laboratory which is approved may be engaged in agricultural, medical, scientific and industrial research, defense research, Department of Electronics, Department of Biotechnology, and atomic energy. So it covers various departments, and the department which is engaged, the laboratory which is engaged in this department will be termed as national laboratory. University shall have the meaning as an explanation to clause 9 of section 47. IIT shall have the same meaning as that of institute in clause G of section 3 of Institutes of Technology Act. The specified person means such person as is approved by the prescribed authority. So this concludes part of 2AA subsection 2AA of section 35, which is sum paid to national laboratory or university or IIT or specified person. Now friends, the next provision under section 35, which as per the syllabus is the last provision, section 2AB of subsection 35, company engaged in business of biotechnology or manufacture of article or thing, etc. So any company which is engaged into biotechnology, which you can say it's related to pharma, or any manufacture or article or thing which is not producing any article mentioned in 11th schedule, such companies have in-house research facility and they are receiving any amount for the purpose of expenditure, or they are incurring expenditure for the purpose of scientific research which is in-house. In those cases, the deduction allowed is 150% to such company. And from assessment year 21-22, that is previous year April 20 to March 21, from this previous year the deduction is limited to 100% of the expenditure incurred. Also, such company should be approved by prescribed authority, and the meaning of scientific research. The meaning of scientific research for the purpose of this clause is a company engaged in pharmaceutical, the clinical drug trial expenses incurred, or any research incurred by a pharmaceutical company will qualify as scientific research, is the meaning of the scientific research for the purpose of clause 2AB of section 35. On your screen, subsection 1, where a company engaged in the business of biotechnology or in any business of manufacture or production of any article or thing, not being an article or thing specified in the list of 11th schedule, incurs any expenditure on scientific research, and here the meaning of scientific research is related to pharmaceuticals, clinical, drug trial, etc. Expenditure should not be in the nature of cost of any building, land or building, and the expenditure is incurred on in-house research. The expenditure is incurred on in-house research and development facility which is approved by prescribed authority. Then deduction of sum of 1 and 1/2 times 150% of the expenditure incurred will be allowed. So first, company should be engaged in the business of biotechnology or in manufacture of article or thing which is not mentioned in the 11th schedule. Then expenditure is incurred on scientific research. Expenditure should not be related to cost of any land or building. Expenditure should be on in-house research and development facility which is approved by prescribed authority. If yes, if above conditions are satisfied, then expenditure to the extent of 150%. Weighted deduction of 150% will be allowed to the SSC, provided that vested expenditure on scientific research, not being land or building, on in-house research and development facility is incurred in a previous year relevant to the assessment year is incurred in the previous year relevant to the assessment year beginning on or after April 21. Deduction under this clause shall be equal to the expenditures so incurred. There will be no weighted deduction. There will be a deduction to the extent of 100% only from assessment year 21-22. Meaning of scientific research for the purpose of this clause. So explanation: for the purpose of this clause, expenditure on scientific research in relation to drugs and pharmaceuticals shall include expenditure incurred on clinical drug trial from any regulatory authority under any state, central or provincial act, and filing an application for patent under the Patents Act 1970. So expenditure should be in relation to drugs and pharmaceuticals. It will include expenditure on incurred on clinical drug trial. In pharmaceutical, there is a common practice for the purpose of research, for the purpose of a drug, invention of a drug. Expenses are incurred for clinical drug trial, obtaining approval from prescribed authority, and filing an application for a patent. This will be considered as scientific research expenditure eligible for deduction under 2AB. Deduction allowed under this section will not be allowed under any other provisions of the Act, just to avoid double taxation, double deduction, just to avoid double deduction. And there is another condition wherein the company should be entering into agreement with the prescribed authority. No company shall be entitled for deduction under clause 1 unless it enters into an agreement with the prescribed authority. Unless it enters into an agreement with the prescribed authority for cooperation in such research and development facility and fulfills such conditions with regard to maintenance of accounts and audit and furnishing of reports in such manner as may be prescribed. So an agreement should be entered with the prescribed authority by the concerned company, and certain conditions are to be fulfilled as prescribed, and accounts are required to be maintained and audited by the company as per clause 3. As per clause 4, approval of the authority is required. The prescribed authority shall submit its report in relation to the approval of the said facility to the principal CC or chief commissioner or principal DG or director general in such form as may be prescribed. This is part of the approval process. No double deduction allowed. No deduction shall be allowed to a company approved under subclause C of clause 2A of subsection 1 in respect of expenditure referred to in clause 1, which is incurred on or after 31st March 2018. So no double deduction in a way. You can see a note over here which has been stated, which has been discussed while studying section 35 subsection 1, wherein a company registered in India, payment to a company registered in India which is approved by prescribed authority, a deduction will be allowed to the investor, to the contributor under section 35(1)(2), and The company, the Indian company, which is into scientific research business, such company will not be allowed deduction under section 35(2)(ab), which is this section. That company will not be allowed again a deduction under 35(2)(ab), weighted deduction, wherein a deduction of revenue expenditure under 35(1)(1) will be allowed to the company, to the Indian registered company. So 35(1)(2)(a) is only related to the contributor, the person who is contributing towards the company. The company is eligible for, such company is eligible for deduction only 35(1)(1), which is revenue expenditure deduction. They cannot claim, such company to whom the contribution is made cannot claim deduction under 35(2)(ab), which is coming from clause 6 of subsection 2ab of section 35. A company approved under section, on your screen, a company approved under section 35(1)(2)(a) will not be entitled to claim weighted deduction of 150% under section 35(2)(ab). However, a revenue expenditure can be claimed by such company. I hope this point is clear, which was discussed in 35(1)(2)(a) as well. So friends, this provision 35(2)(ab) is related to a company which has an in-house facility. So for in-house facility, we have studied that provisions applicable are 35(1)(1), which is revenue expenditure incurred in-house, then 35(2), that is capital expenditure incurred in-house, and the third in-house provision is 35(2)(ab), where in-house research is conducted by the company engaged in biotechnology or any manufacture of any article or thing, which is the article is not mentioned in 11th schedule. Other than 11th schedule articles, any article can be produced. Summary of deductions allowable in section 35. So here I have mentioned a summary under section 35. So first is 35(1)(1) revenue expenditure incurred on scientific research related to the SSC business, 100% deduction is allowed. 35(1)(2) is nothing but notified approved research association or other institution for scientific research, deduction allowed is 150, and it's only with effect from assessment year 21-22 that deduction is reduced to 100%. And for the purpose of examination, the assessment year applicable is 21-22. The assessment year applicable in your examination purpose, for your examination purpose, is financial year 1920, that is assessment year 2021. And for assessment year 2021, the deduction continues to be 150% for 35(1)(2). 35(1)(2)(a), contribution to approved Indian company for scientific research, 100%. Contribution to notified approved research association in social science statistical research, 100% deduction. Capital expenditure 35(1)(4) rate with 35(2), other than expenditure on land incurred on scientific research related to SSC's business, which is in-house, that will be 100%. That will be 100% in the year in which expenses are incurred. Amount paid to approved national laboratory, university, IIT specified person for scientific research, it's nothing but 150% in the assessment year 2021. And 35(2)(ab), company engaged in biotechnology or manufacture of article or thing other than land or building, which is approved, it is nothing but 150%. Now friends, let's take an illustration to understand the provisions of section 35. Compute the deduction allowable under section 35 while computing income of XYZ Limited, which is engaged in the business of manufacturing. Deduction under section 35 for assessment year 2021. First is amount paid to a notified approved Indian Institute of Science for scientific research. So notified approved institute. Payment to approved research association or other institution will qualify for deduction under section 35(1)(2). So let's note it down. First, we need to compute deduction under section 35. First is payment to approved research association or other institutes. In this case, deduction available is section 35(1)(2). Clause 2, subsection 1, section 35. Deduction will be 150% of the contribution made. Accordingly, 50,000 into 150%, which is nothing but 1,50,000 will be the deduction under 35(1)(2) for payment to approved research association or other institution. Here the other institution is nothing but Indian Institute of Science for scientific research. Point 2, amount paid to IIT for an approved scientific research program. So here amount is paid to IIT. Any payment to a national laboratory, IIT, or specified person, any payment to such laboratory or IIT for the purpose of scientific research will be eligible for deduction at 150%. Again, payment to IIT for an approved for scientific research. So deduction under section will be 35 to AA, and the deduction will be 150%, which is 3,50,000 into 150%, which is nothing but 3,50,000 into 150%, 5,25,000. And 50,000, what was it? 150%, it is 75,000. Are we correct on this? Just a second. Yes. So here 150% is 150% of 50,000 is 75,000, and 150% of 3,50,000 is 5,25,000. Third point, amount paid to ABC Limited, a company registered in India, which has its main object scientific research and development, as is approved by the prescribed authority. So here contribution is being made to a company which is registered in India. So the deduction will be available under 35(1)(2)(a). 35(1)(2)(a). So payment to a Indian company for scientific research, which is 100% of the payment made, under section 35(1)(2)(a, and the amount of payment is the amount of deduction. So this three example you can see till now we have that the payment is made by the contributor and deduction is available to the contributor. Now fourth part will be in-house research and development expenditure. Expenditure incurred in-house as approved by the prescribed authority. First is revenue expenditure on scientific research. Revenue expenditure on scientific research is nothing but 2 lakhs. Same will be eligible under section 35(1)(1) at 100%, assuming conditions therein are satisfied. So in-house research revenue expenditure, section 35(1)(1) clause 1, and the expenditure allowed is 2 lakhs. Next is capital expenditure including cost of acquisition of land, which is 4 lakhs on scientific research. So the expenditure on land won't be allowed. In-house research, in-house scientific research, capital expenditure, section 35(1) clause 4, read with subsection 2, read with section 35 subsection 2. Cost of land won't be allowed, accordingly 7 lakh minus 4 lakhs will be the expenditure allowed in the relevant year itself, in the year in which the expenditure is made, capital expenditure is made, so 3 lakhs. So effectively deduction allowable under section 35 including in-house research as well as payment made to outsiders to approved institutions is nothing but 75,000 plus 5,25,000, so 6 lakhs plus 2 lakhs, 8 lakhs plus 2 lakhs and 3 lakhs, it's nothing but 10 plus 13. So 13 lakhs will be allowed to the SSC XYZ Limited, which is engaged in the business of manufacturing under section 35. Friends, a point to be added over here is, here in the fourth point it has been mentioned that there is in-house research facility and the same is approved by prescribed authority. From this, we would require certain more facts, but however it can always be assumed and calculated that since an approved research facility has been mentioned, it can be that a person engaged in the business of manufacturing, a person engaged in the business of manufacturing should be able to claim deduction under section 35(2)(ab). So in our solution, putting a note and the solution can be altered, wherein the revenue expenditure mentioned over here for a manufacturing company engaged in manufacturing goods which are not mentioned in the 11th schedule and which has an in-house approved prescribed facility, prescribed authority, approved in-house research facility which is approved by a prescribed authority. In such cases, 150% deduction of the weighted deduction of the expenditure incurred should be allowed. So in our case, our solution should be altered with 35(2)(ab) by putting a note. A note can be put wherein a manufacturing entity is eligible for a deduction under section 35(2)(ab), and for this two deduction computed over here, it can be said that 150% reduction is allowed. Obviously, point number 4 required certain other information as well. However, by putting a note, you can always assume that a higher deduction, a weighted deduction of 150% is eligible. Accordingly, under the fourth point, 2 lakhs will be nothing but into 150% deduction, and for 3 lakhs into 150% deduction can be calculated, and accordingly the total deduction under section 35 will be increased in this case. So here we conclude section 35 along with an illustration. Thank you.